Welcome back to Unit 2, Chapter 4. We are working on exercises in 4-1. We are at question 5. Let's convert the following and we'll round them off as indicated in the brackets. First up, we have 14 teaspoons, and we need to convert that into fluid ounces, rounding it off to the nearest half ounce. Now we need to find a common measurement that we can use to figure out teaspoons and fluid ounces, and we're going to use milliliters. We know that there are 5 milliliters per teaspoon and 28.4 milliliters to each fluid ounce. So first up, let's convert 14 teaspoons to milliliters, and we're going to do that by multiplying the amount of teaspoons we have, 14, times the amount of milliliters in a teaspoon, 5. So 14 times 5 equals 70 milliliters. Great. Now let's convert 70 milliliters to fluid ounces, keeping in mind that we need 28.4 milliliters to make 1 fluid ounce. So how many times does 28.4 fit into 70 mils? Well, we're going to divide 70 by 28.4, the amount of milliliters in a fluid ounce, and we get 2.4647,887 ounces. And if we're going to round this off to the nearest half ounce, our low end would be 2 ounces, our high end would be 2.5 ounces, and I'm hoping most of us can see that 2.4 is much closer to 2.5 than 2, so the final answer for this would be indeed 2.5 fluid ounces, or 2.5 fluid ounces, which equals 14 teaspoons. Let's move on to the next one, 24 tablespoons. We're going to convert that into cups, and then that same 24 tablespoons, we're going to convert it into U.S. quarts. Let's start off with tablespoons and cups. What's that relationship? Well, it's 16. 16 tablespoons makes a cup. So let's divide the amount of tablespoons we have, 24, by the amount of tablespoons in a cup, 16, and we see that we have 1.5 cups. 24 tablespoons is equal to 1.5 cups. Now, how do we get that to U.S. quarts? Well, I'm going to keep using the amount of cups that we have, and I'm going to convert the amount of cups into ounces. And we have 8 ounces in each cup, so if I multiply the amount of cups I have, 1.5, times 8, the amount of ounces in a cup, and then divide that by 32, because there are 32 ounces in a U.S. quart, you see we get to 3.375 U.S. quarts. So let's break it down a bit more. 1.5 cups times 8 ounces per cups, I have 12 ounces. 24 tablespoons is equal to 1.5 cups. It's also equal to 12 ounces. There are 32 ounces in a U.S. quart. So I'm going to take the amount of ounces I have in a cup and a half, in this case 12, and divide it by 32. And you can see that that's where I get 0.375 U.S. quarts. Moving on to the next one. We're going to take 12 cups, convert that to tablespoons, and that same 12 cups into teaspoons. The relationship between cups and tablespoons, can you remember? Yes, that's right, it's 16. If I take the 12 cups that I have and multiply it by the amount of tablespoons in each cup, 16, I see that I get 192 tablespoons. So 192 tablespoons equals 12 cups. Now I need to remember my relationship between teaspoons and tablespoons. And if you can do that, you'll realize that I need 3 teaspoons to make 1 tablespoon. So I'm going to take the amount of tablespoons that I have, 192, and multiply that by 3, again, the amount of teaspoons in a tablespoon, and I realize that 192 tablespoons equals 576 teaspoons. So 12 cups equals 192 tablespoons, and 12 cups also equals 576 teaspoons. Let's go from U.S. quarts to U.S. gallons. We have 1,260 U.S. quarts. We are going to convert that to U.S. gallons. A couple of ways of doing this. I can take the amount of U.S. quarts I have and multiply it by the amount of ounces in a U.S. quart, and that would be 1,260 times 32 gives us 40,320 ounces. Now I need to remember how many ounces there are in a U.S. gallon, and if you said 128, you are absolutely correct. So let's take the amount of ounces that I have in the 1,260 U.S. quarts. As we just calculated, that equals 40,320 ounces, divided by 128, the amount of ounces in a U.S. gallon, and we see that we get 315 U.S. gallons. Of course, for those of you who are scared of big numbers, There is another way to do this one as well. Remember, we have a relationship between US quarts and gallons. We need 4 US quarts to make 1 US gallon. So if we divide the amount of US quarts we have by 4, that will also give us the same answer we had with the other method, 315 US gallons. So again, more than one way of converting what we need to do. I don't care which one you use the one you understand most. But remember, you must show the logic you use on the test to get full marks.